Hi guys, I am going to prepare you with this video to do the quantitative plating and turbidimetric estimation of microbial numbers. The directions are actually excellent in the lab book. They're very detailed, but I've found students have a hard time picturing what we're doing, even when I explain it at the beginning of lecture. So this will give you a little bit of a heads up. So the supplies that we need for quantitative plate count, first of all, let's stop and think of what a quantitative plate count is. So remember when we had a mixed broth, and in that mixed broth we diluted, and I kept talking about how the plates that we were doing our streaking for isolation on, we were actually diluting the sample. Well, that's great, but we had no idea based on those dilutions how many numbers we had in our original sample. And this is a way that we can actually quantitate what our sample starts with as far as numbers. So I have a sample here, and I think you can see that it's pretty turbid, and I'm going to mix it well before I start. So I'm going to have a sample, and these are the supplies I'm going to have. I'm going to have 4 what are called dilution bottles, and I've already labeled those. And so they're going to be 10 to the minus 2, 10 to the minus 4, 10 to the minus 6, and 10 to the minus 8. So those are all labeled for me. And those have 99 mLs of sterile water in them. Okay, so these are called dilution blanks or dilution bottles. And then I'm going to have 8 sterile plates, okay, meaning that they come out of a bag, they've been treated, there should be no bacterial contamination inside the plate. Okay, so inside the plate they should be sterile. And these I'm going to label with 10 to the minus 2, 10 to the minus 3, 10 to the minus 4, all the way up to 10 to the minus 9th. Okay, 10 to the minus 9. So that's what I'm going to do with my plates. Now remember, when I label the plates have to be labeled on the bottom, and I can write, I don't need to use tape, but they need to be labeled on the bottom. When I go to use these though, I need to make sure that they are right side up and that I'm putting the sample in the bottom part, which is the smaller piece of the two. The top should go over the bottom and cover it. So I'm labeling on the bottom, but I'm then going to use it right side up. All right, that's going to be a catch. You're going to have to be real careful as you do that. So I have my plates, and then I also have here, so I showed you my sample, but I also have pipettes. And these are real pipettes, right? Not a transfer pipette that we use with drops. These are a real pipette that measure very accurately. And the one we're using for this particular method is actually 1.1 ml. Kind of odd, right? If you've used them before, that's an unusual volume of a pipette. And I'm going to try to show you very closely. So here is our 1.1 line. Here is right below it a 1.0 line. Then there's a 0.5 line down here. So the reason we have a 1.1 ml pipette is because we're going to use 2 volumes in this exercise. We're going to use 1 ml and we're going to use 0.1 ml. Okay, so this is a way we can use the same pipette for both of them. And I have 5 of these pipettes. Now, when you get the pipettes, I'm playing with them. This is not sterile. When you get your pipettes, they're going to come out of this. These will be distributed around the lab, and these have been sterilized so that all the pipettes within this are sterile. So, of course, we need to be careful. I'll fight with this to get the top off. I might not be taking the top off. We'll have to. Anyway, suffice it to say, we'll get that taken care of. But then the tops of the pipette, okay? I always refer to it as the top or the business end of the pipette. So the business end is going to go into the sample. That's got to stay sterile. And that's going to be down in the bottom of this pipette holder. The top, though, you can touch and you can manipulate the top, but you want to be careful that down near this end that's going to go into sample that you're not getting your fingers all over. The other thing is mine are all out here, but yours are going to have to be pulled out one at a time in order to keep them sterile, because unlike me, who've got them sitting here, you don't want them sitting on something else just collecting contamination. So the way this is going to work, and I think I'm going to split this up. Let me think if there's anything else. Oh, let me show you. This is the bulb that you're going to use, and you want to be very careful. I've had someone jam it into their hand. Please don't do that. But you want to carefully twist the pipette up so it makes a seal here. And the way we use this is we use this. There is a little circular turny thing that is going to create a vacuum. And as this goes up, it will pull up your sample. So if it's in your sample, it will create a vacuum and it's going to pull up your sample. So this will create a vacuum for you, and then you can roll it back down to the volume you need. So you can continue by rolling it and controlling the height in this pipette, or if you are going to use the entire volume of the pipette, you can actually just press this lever and that will release the vacuum and the sample will come out the bottom. Okay, so I'll show you a little bit more closely, but I want to divide up these into a little smaller videos because they are taking me forever to download. So I'll be back.